Hello everybody, I'm back. We'd like to go ahead and welcome Mama Nephthys on in today. Smelling really good in here. All saged out. I love to use wax smells. It's nice to create a clean and nice smelling environment. Today, we've got a lot to cover, so I'm gonna move through it. I want you all to get a pen and paper so you can write it down. This is what we are all about, building the lighted temple. Today we'll be focusing in on the sacral chakra, whose principle is to honor one another. Okay? I do want to remind you all that I am a Syrian star seed from the dark star Sirius B. My cosmic mother is Nephthys. We are the darker nature of the pantheon. We offer tough love in order for self-corrections to be made. We offer taps and pushes and nudges, push down, knockdowns, knocked out, and sometimes death. Okay, so that is not a threat. That is just something that I've noticed of people who have found my work and come to me, and I've invested time and energy into directing them to the resources, and they either are not being honest with me, but they are continuing to take those drugs, and I later learned that they are no longer with us. This is very serious. It is the age of truth. It is the age of enlightenment, the age of information. Okay? So, be a part of that. So, I'm going to sit down over here today. Here again, I am operating with one hand. Let's hope we can get through it. Thank you for bearing with me and being patient. Okay. Again, I want to remind you all of my book. It is called There Is No HIV. The Rainbow Warrior, exposing the truth about HIV antibody testing and the metaphysics of self-healing through chakra and kundalini awareness. I do hold a doctorate degree in metaphysical science, a master's degree in exceptional children education for the behavior disorder, and a Bachelor of Psychology degree. I am currently becoming a licensed professional counselor. So, my professional identity as a social justice advocate will be to counsel those people who are just like I was, feeling rejected, discriminated against, job lost, that no one understood what I was going through. And on top of that, a Kundalini awakening. All of that is here in this book. I do want to encourage you to order a copy as well. Direct your friends to the website, theconsciousdoctor.com website. That's consciousdr.com. In the Rainbow Warrior Companion, there are many resources of scientists all around the world who are saying exactly what I figured out. Again, I pay special attention to the black master teachers who realize that HIV is bogus. We are busting up bogus HIV worldwide. We've explained that it's genocide, eugenics, profiteering on the death of innocent people, domination and manipulation and control of people through sexual fear and organ harvesting, creating products for less melanin people. Okay? These are very serious issues. You need to be in the know. You need to know how to protect your melanin. All right, let's get started. Now, I've been out here posting till I am blue in the face. I actually wrote my book to reach an audience of people just like me. And I have to admit that when I have gone into these gay groups, mostly black gay groups, I have encountered more resistance than among other groups of people. And it has been very painful. People are ready to attack me, attack my science, attack my degrees. I wrote about all of that in the book. I hope that you'll take a look at that. Do not be one of those people. Again, I am the living proof of what I teach. I have done all of this for free. I consult people free on the phone. I go to speak at locations where I'm invited. I maintain my own website. I pay graphic artists to help me. A person who created this for me is what I call a goddess. She took this information, the science, she found a picture of me and some images that I sent her, and she created about 11 different boards so I can use those to post. So if you're not taking the time to read this science, that up to today, there has been no proof that HIV exists, no classical virology, the science was followed, no purification, no isolation, only rushing things to the media. Again, I've spoken about that in the Reagan administration with Dr. Robert Gallo and Margaret Heckler. Take a look at my presentations. These presentations include HIV descent boards from people, not me, who have made them. I've compiled them and put music to them. I've added music that I'm thinking that you're gonna like. And we have got to bust down this idea. Please unpin your HIV badge of honor. Your sexual practices are no better than anyone else who received that diagnosis. Again, from direct lived experience, I've been around groups of people, sticking their nose up in the air as if they are better than someone who received this diagnosis. I used to actually tell people, if you're gonna be a hoe, be a good one. Going away feeling guilty about what you're doing is what causes those physical manifestations of disease, revealing that you are at dis-ease with yourself. Again, sexual energy is the most powerful healing energy on this planet, and when it is used responsibly and includes love, the seats of consciousness are stimulated and cleansed. So, having sex is a wonderful experience, not something to be feared. But when you are doing things that are causing yourself to be feeling ashamed and guilty, and that is when you enter the danger zone. We've already proved that those tests are testing for proteins. A scientist in Germany has identified why black people tend to test positive more often. The other scholars of us know that they're looking for something in our DNA chains, in our adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine, building blocks of proteins, the amino acids. I believe that it has to do with the fact that we are going to go back to godhood. And when they identify that in those tests, they deem us HIV positive and set about killing us. And I also want to say, in defense of my best friend, whom I love dearly and I miss every day, I shed a tear. I believe that from the other side, he led me some of the information about this. I wrote about him in my book. His name is Everett. Everett was a national merit finalist in high school. A pre-med student at UAB, he was one of the first accepted into medical school, and then realized that he did not like the sight of blood. Dropped out of medical school, moved to Atlanta, got the first job he went on at Roche Biomedical Laboratories in Atlanta. You guys know where it is out there, was out there on Tucker Road. He quickly rose to the top of his department. He was over the HIV testing department. And he eventually got that diagnosis. The most brilliant person, the most garrulous, fun to be around person, all of a sudden found himself in a psychiatrist's office. The person that brings life is now feeling depleted of it, and he died. I've posted about him. He's in my presentations. Please slow down and take a look at that and give honor to him. His brother was also diagnosed, and he died within 2 weeks. This is a power of fear. This is a power of rejection from the people you think love you, but who are all of a sudden putting you down, putting you out. I know so many of them in Atlanta. Like I said, sometimes I feel like I was running a shelter out of my home. Largely because I knew that could have been me. If I didn't have that little bit of support that many people don't have from their own families, you can find yourself outside living under a tree, doing all manner of things just to survive. I want to give a big ups to those people. I hope that you are still around. I hope that you are gaining knowledge and awareness about this information, removing those thoughts from yourself. You're not one of these people who are receiving their monthly HIV check, even though they're not even taking the drugs, because that's their way of fighting back the system. I am not judging that, but it is something that happens. I see a lot of people giving up on their life goals and dreams because of this diagnosis, and I know what that's all about because I have been in the depths of depression and all manner of addiction and that kind of thing I've said. But we have to rise up. It's time to rise up. This person. Did you know, and Kedia Wadu talks about this in our interviews, how they go into colleges, health and human service majors, and recruit black, mostly women, feed them all those bogus lies about HIV, and send them into black communities under the guise of philanthropy. But really it's murdering and routing people into a death campaign. These type people. I talk to them all the time when I see them. You know, I don't care about conflict. What I care about is not killing our people. Learning the real science, not the propaganda. Now, how many times have I been into a club in Atlanta, or everywhere really, and pull out the little magazine, you know, before you have your drink, you want to see the little magazines and everything, see what's going on in the gay community, and every other page, you see some ad advertising for black people to be strong and take their test. Look at this. They even compared us to apes getting up off the ground into standing up position. This infuriates me. I put that also in my presentations with a little bit of explanation. They've got us covered, from intellectual to married couple to the regular black gay person that some are calling us now same gender loving. I think I do like that. I don't really like to be labeled. But look at this. They got all types of us covered. The intellectual, the more effeminate ones. Again, telling us we need to be stronger by testing and routing ourselves into that death campaign. I wrote in my book about the one guy who was there at the Axie Experts panel. I was to be there representing spirituality. There was supposed to be a guy from Emory Hospital, a medical doctor, who did not show up. But the guy who was representing Jesus, he's no longer with us. I post about him. You know, I really feel bad for him because he had an opportunity. I tell people, when you find my work and Mama Nephthys sends you to me, generally you're getting one last chance to look into things for yourself and make some changes. And again, it has been my experience that months later, sometimes a little over a year, they're no longer here. Now, we're trying to get to the bottom of who's responsible for this philanthropy, murder disguised as philanthropy. This is where Aid Atlanta is located on Peachtree. This gentleman, they made one of the high-ranking officials. See who that is over to the right by my hand holding that paper? That's the gentleman that's no longer with us that represented the Jesus camp. The one that refused to contact me afterwards, after the event where I went over there. I don't know who that is behind him there, but this is at one of their programs where, again, I believe they are disguising murder as philanthropy. I went up in there and I talked to them about the science. I got their email addresses and was sending them email addresses and rarely even heard back from somebody. I also wrote about the one guy over at the offshoot program, Evolution Project. They are specifically for black men, mostly 19 to 29 years of age. Seems to me, trying to ensure that they stay on their medications. And I know from direct experience that that is what's taking our people out. You know, they have little social set functions because, you know, when you get that diagnosis, you can lose friends and family. So that is a good thing for them to have a place to gather together to support each other. But they need to start learning real science involved here. HIV has never been proved to exist, only propagandized. Now, I go out in the community. Here is Martin Luther King Day out in Fairfield. I paid for a little banner, took my Comet and Pantheon out there and set up and passed out flyers and talked to people. And a lady who used to be a nurse came out there and told me I must have mush for brains. Now, I don't deserve that. But it's just evidence of how miseducated we all are. I'm the one still here. She's a retired nurse. And hey, I'm all for people wanting to help, but we got all these philanthropic organizations out there. To me, it seems like they're helping us into the grave. Those days are over. Aid Atlanta. Right down on Peachtree. I used to live right down the street from there. So I used to pass there all the time. I would be upset every time I went by there. They used to have a group. I told you. I wrote about it in my book, A Deeper Love. I went in there way back when. And the guy over that group told me it was not the correct place for me to be discussing that issue. And there was a guy in there that I had met in the parking lot. His tongue had split in half from taking those drugs. I wonder if he's still around. I want you to know that I am serious about what I do, and it has nothing to do with making money. It has to do with us healing ourselves and learning to support and love each other and recognize that we have value beyond our looks, beyond our body parts. And I know my black brothers, hey, I'm a proud black gay man, same gender 11, whatever you want to call it. I'm moving back to Atlanta. I'm so happy that I can reconnect with them. But you don't know many people my age, 53 years old, and gay who are still alive. Why? Because they have murdered us all off. Show me respect when I come in those groups. Just for being 53 years old when you're 22 and thinking you know everything when you haven't even begun to live in the real world. Now, that may sound harsh, but take it from me. I had to learn the hard way. All right. When you receive an HIV positive diagnosis, these are the things that it means. I'm going to read them right from the book. It means that fear of death, along with shame and guilt from receiving an HIV positive diagnosis, will cause a drastic shift in vibrational energy within each person who receives it. It means that unsuspecting people will allow themselves to ingest prescribed highly toxic drugs, sometimes for years. It means that the geographic locations where colored, more melanin people live, HIV antibody testing will be encouraged and marketed more heavily. It means that an HIV positive antibody test result will more likely happen for black people than for any other race of people. Let that soak in. It means that, frankly, an HIV positive or HIV negative test result means anything other than those who continued profits soar from the administration of the test and the marketing and selling of toxic drugs. It means world populations diminish. It means that mind control, domination, and manipulation through sexual fear is further ingrained in the consciousness of the ignorant masses of people who have been easily led astray from truth. It means that the genocide and eugenics campaign has effectively been launched and maintained. It means that the fiasco has been allowed for over 30 years. It means that dollars and grants are garnered by so-called researchers, philanthropists, politicians, and activist groups of all types who have jumped aboard a money train that goes mostly into their own pockets. I won't even call any names now, but if you're watching this, you know who I'm talking to. You need to stop doing what you're doing. My mama Nephthys is not pleased with that kind of behavior at all. Are we clear about that too? I hope so. Now, I want to move over here very quickly and go through some of these resources. I remember, I was always going in the bookstores looking to see what black authors were doing. And you can better believe that in every story there's some tragic, in every book there's some tragic story about HIV and AIDS. And, having awakened to the truth so many years ago, I was so sad not to ever see the truth. So that was another thing that fueled me to go ahead and buy my book. But other than that, we have some beautifully and wonderfully talented people. We already know who we are on this planet, the gatekeepers, the healers of the tribe. We balance the energies between the masculine and feminine principles in our communities. Own that. Take ownership of that. When people start trying to put you down, let them know who you really are. That's what I do. But look at this book. It was excellent. It's called Brother Man. talks about our relationships. It is a collection of short stories. I like short stories. I don't want to read a 500-page novel. Randall Keenan, Walking on Water. I think he's a North Carolinian and a gay black man. He writes beautifully. And the sun will rise and set in the morrow. This is a beautifully written book, a visitation of spirits. I knew that he was like me. He was conscious of and aware of the spirit world. Randall Keenan. The Secret Epidemic, The Story of AIDS in Black America. Another good book. See our brothers here. We have been traumatized. And we have found very little support among ourselves. And that is not okay. That's why I'm out here busting that up. I read this book, I think I was just coming out of college. River Road. At the time not realizing why I was reading it, but if you don't know about it, take a look at it. It's a very honest a look at what it's like to be a gay person. And of course, we all love James Baldwin. This man has courage. It's because of him that I'm standing here before you. Back in a time where it was very difficult just to be yourself. Killing Rage. What I do is turn rage into radios. Bell Hooks, a black female scholar in New York. She's a college professor among many other things. Now, we've all read all the books by E. Lynn Harris. That first one called The Invisible Life or something like that. It was set in Birmingham, Alabama, where I was in college at that time. He dropped names of places in Atlanta. You all have probably already read this. The Greatest Taboo. Being black and gay and HIV positive. But I'm living proof. I know some more of you out there like me who just haven't come to the fore just yet. Shade. So nice when you go into a bookstore where they're selling all sorts of trinkets and whatnot, and they have a section of books that can be relatable to black people. So nice. Here's another Elin Harris book. And This Too Shall Pass. You know, a lot of men have a struggle, figuring out their sexuality. Fortunately for me, I was honest with my girlfriend when I went off to college. We broke up, but we're still friends to this day. But those of you who felt the pressure of getting married and having children and starting families, and then some of you even after your children are grown or gone off to college, you're honest with your wives, the marriage dissolves, and then you go ahead and live the life. Because when you are living a consciousness of not self, immune-related disorders can ensue. Here's another Elin Harris. I Say a Little Prayer. Here's another Elin Harris. Just As I Am. Support black business. Support black authors. You can tell this guy's conscious too. Conjuring Black Funk. He's changed his name just like me. Okay, so this is some literature. I mostly read nonfiction, metaphysics, things that really interest me, our ancient history, because we are the progenitors of culture and civilization on this planet. That is something to be very proud about, something to tout. I want you, like me, to be the living proof that HIV is bogus. I am Damian Q. Laster, the conscious doctor, rainbow warrior, Dr. Kabir, Amenra, Anpu, Ausar, Set, Horakhty. Hey, Ru. Have a good day. I love you. Hetep. Namaste. Goodbye.